Sorry for any camera wobble. My camera stand right now is 2 packs of tissues with the cellophane still on them, and the camera's kind of jammed in to just get the height. I'm watching these videos about, oh, and any creaking is going to be my chair. It's an office chair, it creaks. There's not a lot I can do about it. I could stay still, but, you know, that would be kind of unnatural. So, I'm watching these videos about cars, new cars, electric cars, and there's big ones and small ones and expensive ones and cheap ones, and they've all got different features and ranges, and they all cost what they cost. My car at the moment is 17 years old, and it's going to be old enough to vote before I can afford to replace it, and that means that I'm keeping an eye on what the electric vehicle market looks like, because I want my next car to be an electric car, you know, because of the environment. So one of the things that's not really talked about a lot when I watch car videos, car programs, is the roof line. When you've got, because of aerodynamics and the importance of fuel economy, the A-pillar where the windscreen sits in, it slopes backwards towards the roof, so it's kind of canted on an angle. Is canted the right word? It's on an angle, so that the wind slips off it. The result of that is that it reduces the headspace in the car. So instead of, just trying to think if I've got anything that's kind of just square. Imagine a square, and now imagine, so you've got a square, and now you do that with one side of it. So this space here, if you need to sit kind of far forwards, you're sitting closer and closer to the roof line. That's normally not a problem, unless you have a car accident. Now, I had a car accident in 2009, and although I'm 176 centimeters tall and a bit, or 5'9" and a bit tall, my legs are short and my body is long, so in order to sit comfortably in a car, I sit quite far forwards. I sit quite close to the steering wheel, which means that my head is a lot closer to the roof line than it would be if I was sitting further back. So when I had my car accident, I was in my car, which I won't name because it's not important, but my head bounced off a support structure in the roof, hidden under the headline, and it's to give the roof rigidity, and that gave me damage there. Now, I wrote to car manufacturers, and I explained to them, if you could just, you know, raise the roof of your car just like by a little bit, then when a person sits in the driving seat and does this and all of that movement, so that you sort of replicating what would happen, not completely replicating obviously, because the forces are just completely different, but you're having a check on how much headroom you've got in the event that your head is thrown around the interior of your cabin, which mine was. So instead of getting whiplash, or instead of hitting the steering wheel, or instead of hitting the airbag didn't go off, but I was hit from behind. Instead of any of those things happening, my head hit the ceiling. Now, none of the videos that I've seen about cars talk about that, and so I won't name any cars because that's not helpful. But I've sat in a lot of cars over the intervening years, and there are very few cars that I sit in and have adequate headroom, so that if I was to go over a bump fast, or if I was to be hit by another vehicle, then my head wouldn't just slam into the roof of the car, or into the roof line where in between the A pillar where the windscreen is and the B pillar where your door closes. There's that usually thick sort of beam of plastic covered structure, and if that's too low down, you'll hit that as well. Now, obviously in newer cars, you'll get airbags in you know, the curtain airbag, but you have to have a fairly serious accident for airbags to go off, and if you have an accident but you hit something hard in your car because the airbag didn't go off, or because that car doesn't have airbags there, then you've hit your head, which is not a place you want to be. In my case, it gave me an acquired disability, which I think I would now count myself more as neurodivergent rather than as strictly disabled. But that's kind of six of one, half a dozen of another. The overall effect is that I'm different now than I was before. The brain governs everything, and obviously if you injure it, then you can have all sorts of negative effects. But back to cars, what I think would be helpful would be if people could, instead of just sitting in the car and going, oh look, I've got plenty of headroom, if when they sit in the car they sort of just move side to side a bit and forwards and backwards a little bit, and see actually how much practical space is around their head when they're not just sat stock still driving the car. Because you don't get injured when you sat stock still driving the car, you get injured when your head is thrown around the cabin. The car that I drive now has plenty of headroom, and it's older than the car that I was injured in, and that's strictly because the shape of the car that I'm in is different inside than the shape of the car I was injured in. It's nothing about the different manufacturers or the quality of the construction or anything else, because the model car that I drive stopped being sold, and the successor model in the same line I've sat in and I do not fit in. So it's not something that one manufacturer gets right and another manufacturer doesn't. It's something that you just have to go and touch lucky. I went to Carcraft, which is like a car supermarket. I went there in about 2012, I think it was, and I sat in every car that they had, and they had over 50 different cars, and I fit in 6 of them, which meant that my choices were limited. If I didn't want a car where I would definitely bang my head, I needed to choose between these 6 vehicles, regardless of any of the features. So, price or practicality or fuel consumption, insurance bracket, even down to the colour or the gearing system of the car, didn't matter. My primary focus was I didn't want to get a new head injury in an already injured place. So it's just something that I would like to see people talk about more when they do car reviews. And that was it, really. I know I haven't done a video in ages, and largely because my models and me are in 2 different places right now because of the recent unpleasantness. So hopefully I'll be able to do more model videos soon. But that was it.